Hello, coming to you on a Wednesday evening and not a Saturday for our February Spine of the Month book chat with Sadeqa Johnson. We're talking about her latest book, Keeper of Lost Children. Yay! How are you guys doing on this Wednesday? Super excited to talk with Sadeqa again. And like I said, we're coming to you on a Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. Wednesday evening and not Saturday or Sunday. So waiting for Sadeqa to join. Drop in the chat and let me know if you read the book. We will be doing no spoilers. I've also, for anyone that doesn't have the book, just want you to know anytime that you want to support Diverse Spines, you can always buy your book from our bookshop. I've pinned the link for Sadeqa's book in the chat. Oh, there she is. I was rushing to get home because I'm like, okay, I know traffic is just going to. Hi.
Hi
How are
there.
you?
I'm good.
Good. It's
Good
good
to
to
see
see you
you.
too.
Same
Although
here.
I just saw you last month and it was great.
In DC, yes.
Yes, in DC. Are you still touring?
I got home Sunday night, like midnight.
And that's it for now.
So till tomorrow, I'm doing some local events in the Richmond area Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday I go to Toronto
Oh,
because
nice.
yes, I made the Toronto bestsellers list.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, so I'll be in Toronto doing an event on Sunday, so I'll be there this weekend. So I'm excited about that.
That is awesome. That is really awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm here to welcome you back. Thank you for joining us for our February book chat. Your book, Keeper of Lost Children, was our February Spine of the Month. Love this cover. And we're happy to have you back. I mean, it's just so good to have you back. I'm going to have you, we have our audience, people are coming in. Just tell a little bit about yourself and then we'll dive right in.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'm Sadeqa. You said that
Yeah.
already. I am the author of six novels. Keeper of Lost Children is my sixth novel. It's my third historical.
Hmm.
My previous novel was The House of Eve,
Oh,
which
yes.
was, yes, it was a Reese Witherspoon book club pick. It was my first New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
And yeah, and so here I am now. Keeper of Lost Children has been out since February 10th. So
Hmm.
I have been on a three week 16 plus city book tour.
Wow.
And it's just been amazing. It's been incredible. I mean, it's tiring to be like wake up in one city and go to sleep in the different one.
Hmm.
But the people who have come to my book events, the love that they have shown me, their love for reading, the love for reading my historical novels, and even my previous novels, like that
Yeah.
shocked me. People were reading my, contemporary novels as well, but just the way that they touch me, like it just was like a homecoming in every city. It was like a family reunion in every city.
That is wonderful. Like I said, but I think that where people like, they're discovering the backlist and everything, but we got to talk about like you started your historical fiction journey with Yellow Wife.
Yes. Yeah.
Incredible book, right? And so I want to know, like, you were writing all your other books, and then, okay, you got requests. Come to Savannah, Georgia. Let me say this: Savannah, Georgia, and come to Baltimore. So let me
Okay.
just get that out of the way because I see that in the chat. So those are the two
Okay.
requests. So I want to know, like, what led you in your writing journey to go to historical fiction? Because I'm going to say, I would have thought that you've been writing it forever,
Oh,
like hands
wow.
down. And I'm a historical fiction lover. That's my favorite genre aside from nonfiction. And you don't miss when it comes to historical fiction.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't something that I thought I would ever do, to be quite honest. Like I had written my first three novels. They were contemporary fiction. I was very comfortable writing about, what I saw, what I knew, what I heard. And it wasn't until I moved to the Richmond, Virginia area and I was walking the Richmond Slave Trail and I discovered the story of Mary Lumpkin, which is the woman who inspired Yellow
Hmm.
Wife. And in that discovery of this woman who did not have agency over her life, who was a footnote in history, my feeling was, why don't we know about her? Why
Right.
does she not have a voice? And I knew that she needed a voice. I didn't necessarily want to be the one to write it
Hmm.
because I was convinced that you needed to have like a PhD in history to write historical fiction. But it was like the ancestors had another plan for me because they literally got in the car with me and followed me home and they kept pushing me and pressing me towards writing this story. And that was Yellow Wife.
Yeah. And so, okay. And then you go on to find another woman that people really don't know about, and with House of Eve.
The House of Eve was one of those stories where I really thought that I was maybe just a one hit historical fiction wonder. And I really was gonna, yeah, I thought that was it. I thought that's all I had. And so
Mm-mm.
I was gonna pivot. I was going to write young adult books. I wanted to be sort of like Jason Reynolds. I wanted
Yeah.
to write that track series. And so I was outlining this YA book, this series, and I was telling my agent about the different characters that I was working on. And when I got to Ruby and I told her, I knew that she was smart, that she was walking through the streets of North Philadelphia and she was being catcalled on the street by grown men. So I knew that she was in sexual danger. And I knew that she had a mother that wished she had never been born.
Hmm.
And my agent said, well, that's the story that I want to hear.
Oh,
And then I started thinking about my grandmother, like her circumstances in the 1950s, getting pregnant with my mom at age 14 and then giving birth to her at 15. She didn't have a husband. There was no husband in sight. And what options did she have
right.
as a young Black woman, growing up in poverty in this situation? And that sort of led me to researching, our
Yeah.
reproductive rights and, women not having agency over their bodies and this idea of going into these maternity homes and being forced to give up their babies, whether they wanted to or not. And so that was how the House of Eve came to me.
Yeah. And now, fast forward, it seems like, every story that you write begins with a spark, right? And so, what was the first image or question or emotional moment that led you to write Keeper of Lost Children?
Well, again, the story found me. I was
Mhm.
not looking for it. I was tucked away at a writing retreat in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, and I was working on maybe like the sixth or the seventh draft of The House of Eve. And usually when I'm researching, I'm writing, I'm researching. And I popped into my Google search bar. I put orphans, unwanted children, and up popped this woman, Mabel Grammer. And
Mhm.
I discovered that Mabel Grammer was an American journalist. She was a Black woman. She married a chief warrant officer in the United States Army. She went over to Mannheim, Germany with him. He worked a lot. She didn't speak the language. She was feeling a little bit isolated. She also was a little down. She couldn't have children herself because of a childhood illness, but she was a devout Catholic.
Mhm.
And she encountered a group of nuns who invited her to an orphanage. And when she got to the orphanage, she discovers this gaggle of mixed race children, which is a little known consequence of World War
Yeah.
II, an
Mhm.
influx of African American soldiers that went into Germany and all parts of Europe, but
Yes.
Germany specifically. And they had relationships with German women. And we know what happens when relationships happen, babies are born.
Mhm.
And when she was faced with these children, she decided that something needed to be done. She started a one woman adoption agency, and she's credited for placing over 500 of these children into American homes. She and her husband adopted 12 of those
Yeah.
children for themselves, and so she had a big heart and she had a big plan. And when I learned her story, I thought, why is this just a footnote?
Mhm.
Why didn't I learn about her in social studies? I took women's history in college. Why did she not come up? And
Mhm.
in that moment, I was like, this is a woman who I need to give a voice to.
Oh, that's amazing. All from a Google search.
Yes.
Wow. Um, And so let's talk about it because I love like when any more research that came with this novel because every time you put out a book, it's always a journey to learning more about the historical context of it. So just talk a little bit about what was going on during that time, and you said it, the settings, right? You're taking us in different places. Don't let me forget. I want to talk about that. You bring in three characters.
Oh my gosh.
And so
Crazy.
talk a little bit about how the craft of placement, because you're
Hmm.
in Germany and then you're back in the US.
So Germany, I actually went to Germany to do some research. I felt like, I'm a feel it, taste it, touch it type of writer. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I needed to walk the streets that my characters walked and breathe their air and get a sense of what it was like for them moving around these different places in Germany. So I did that. I spent a lot of time at the cemeteries, believe it or
Mm,
not, because when I'm writing about some of these people who took place in the 40s and the 50s, I wanted to make sure I got their names right and the pronunciation and all of
mhm,
that and that feel for like what family was for the German people. But the settings were, I took my time. I
mm,
spent some time working on the Germany scenes, and then I would put it aside, and then I would work on, the Southern Maryland scenes where you meet Sophia on this
mhm.
farm, and I would work on that and do research. I knew nothing about farm life. I am a Philadelphia city girl, okay? So I had to really dig deep to like get those farm scenes correct.
And she's from Eastern Shore, correct?
She's from Southern Maryland.
Southern
Yeah.
Maryland, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm in Maryland, but the other direction. So yes. And so, and let's talk about and Ozzy.
Yes, Ozzy.
He's from
He's from South Philadelphia.
right. So you had Philadelphia, Maryland, and then you had Germany.
Yes, yes. And then the three different characters on three different timelines.
Okay, let's talk about that because I'm thinking she's plotting, she has a draft. Like, what was the process? Because all your other books have been two characters,
Yeah, yeah. Or one. Yellow
one,
Wife was
right? Just
just
one,
Phoebe.
right?
Yeah.
And so I need to know how are you able to keep track and go. I love it because it's character, different characters. But how are you able to keep track? Because three characters, not that it's a lot. It's not a
I
hard
mean,
feat. I
it was a
mean,
lot. No, honey bun, it was a lot.
I mean, not for you, not for you. So let's talk about that and why.
Why? So why? I'll start with the why. When I discovered this story, Mabel Grammer was so good. She was such um, a giver, and everything about her story was so positive that it just wasn't enough dirt there for me to
Mm,
carry a full novel, right? And so, novels, we need some dirt, we need some plots.
yes.
And, so I knew that she needed additional characters to help me get through the story. But, Ozzy's character was primarily because I felt like there are thousands of World War II books that have been written, historical fiction, and the Black man is largely left out of this story.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, I knew he was there. I talked to my great uncle who was in the Air Force, during that time. And, your grandfather or your cousin, or we have relatives who
Yes.
fought in these wars and who was there during the occupation, but they are absent from the stories. And so I knew that it was important for me to give him a voice and to show that full picture of what it was like for the African American soldier while
Hmm.
he was away in these European countries during the Double V campaign, where they had no freedom at home because of Jim Crow, but they
Yes.
were in Europe fighting for freedom for people that didn't have anything to do with them. And so I was very curious about that world. And honestly, when I decided on Ozzy, he came and sat down in my office and he said, "Let me tell you my story. It's going to be good. It's going to be bad. It's going to be ugly, but it's going to be truthful."
Right.
And so I was able to connect with him in a way that he felt like a family member. He felt
Hmm.
he felt very much like a family member for me. And then, Sophia, I think I have this like propensity of writing this young girl who's just in this situation where the world is stacked against her.
Mm-hmm.
And she really has like this fire in her belly, and there's everything in her telling her that her situation should be better and she's going to go for it. And
Yeah.
that's what you get in Sophia. You find her on this rundown, desolate farm in Southern Maryland. She really does not feel like she belongs. She doesn't feel
Mm-mm.
loved by her family. I mean, that girl does more before school than some of us do all day.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when she's given this rare opportunity to go to this prestigious boarding school, it's not until she gets there that she realizes that she's one of the first Black students, and that this is an integration.
Mm-hmm.
And this comes with a whole host of challenges for her and her friends.
Yeah. I mean, I loved Ozzy's character. People are in the comments saying the same thing. They loved Ozzy down. I just love I like the full arc of him because I think like while you showed, of course, being from Philadelphia and everything that was going on during that time in the US, and you showed his hostility, but you also showed a loving and caring side of him as well. And then being in Germany and still having to deal with the captains, corporals, and people there that have the mindset that they do back home. But I loved the arc of his character so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I loved it so much. What part of the journey of researching changed or helped you understand more about the characters or their world? Like, did you
So,
discover anything that you discovered that surprised you?
I think that it's very easy for us to write the German women off as, well, you gave your baby away.
Mm,
And so I really had to go deeper into the explanation behind it. I
yeah,
needed to understand that they were in a place where they didn't have the choices that we have, right? And in some cases, it was, give your baby away or starve. some
right.
some of them tried to keep their babies, but then they couldn't get a job and their families kicked them out, and so they didn't always have a choice. And so me making them three-dimensional and sympathetic in the midst of what they were going through was
Hmm.
one of the things that I didn't have to work at it. I had to be conscious of it.
Yeah, because I can see how, I mean, like in reading it, you do have this sense of, they're looking for better lives as well. They're
Mhm.
getting with the black soldiers, and then you do have to have some type of, I don't know, I had compassion while reading it because just knowing that they were like disowned
Yeah.
and cast away for having brown babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, let's talk about I want to talk about the nuns because I mean, they were doing, God's work, taking care of these kids. They didn't ask for, they had a whole, like you said, a gaggle of brown children that
Yeah.
nobody wanted. And so can you talk a little bit about that and what was the research going, finding out about that?
Finding these orphanages, the nuns were really the heroes in this story because they were do or die for these babies.
Hmm.
They made the food stretch, they made the clothes stretch, they made everything stretch with very, very little resources. Um, so, I love that sort of feel good story. And once you mix the nuns with Mabel Grammer, and my character's name is Ethel. Once you bring
Yes.
these people together,
Hmm.
and it's for the good of the children, so much beauty and wonderful things happen.
Yeah, I know. I was listening and reading, and I was literally screaming. I'm like, she's leaving with another baby. It's like every time she went, she was leaving. I was like, she's
Yeah.
leaving with another baby.
Yeah.
And I just was like, wow. And just talk about her circle of people that then she enlists to help.
Yeah. Well, isn't that how we do, right? We're all about community. We have all
Hmm.
kinds of clubs and groups and meetings and book clubs and all the things to build community and to do things that are good. A lot of our community is about service. And,
Hmm.
Ethel was really good about having two and three different communities that she could tap while living in Germany to help aid these children.
Yeah, she was a force. Like
Mhm.
it makes you. I love the way you write in a way that you're not just reading, you're also learning. And I always go down the rabbit hole if I'm reading one of your books, I want to know more information because I know, there's a real person behind the story. And that's
Hmm.
what I appreciate so much about your writing is just you give us information, but you also entice us and force us to go find out more on our own.
Well, thank you.
Yes, love, love, love that. So let's talk about the title because to me, I thought it's very protective, but it's also quite haunting,
Hmm.
like the keeper of lost children.
Hmm.
And so, can you talk a little about how you came about the title, and then talk about this cover art, which is stunning?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, my original title was Beautiful Children. That was the working title. And when it got to my UK publisher, she thought that it was a little bit soft.
Mm,
And I mean, literally, when we are working on titles, my team, my editor, my agent, we start a Google Drive and a Google Doc, and we just put anything we're thinking, we just drop it in there.
mm-hmm.
And then we just sort of pull words and put them together. And so we loved Keeper, right? Because
Yes.
that really sums up what Ethel did, right? She was the keeper. And these children were misplaced. And so they became the lost children. And so she was the keeper of keeping them together, keeping them safe. So the keeper of lost children.
Yeah, I love that. And can you talk a bit about the cover? Did you have any input on it, or how did that come about? Because it is, I mean, the hair is what stood out to me at the very beginning.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because that was the thing we worked on.
Oh,
We
okay.
worked on her hair. Trust and believe we worked on it.
Yeah, the
This
hair.
cover took a while. It really, really took a while to sort of be what you see. And I don't know if you can look really closely. You see that she's holding a rosary
Oh,
bead in
yeah.
her hand. You
Hmm.
notice that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we worked on it for, I want to say 2 or 3 months it took for us to pull this cover together and get it exactly the way you see it now. But it was a lot of back and forth with the colors and the images and, the hair.
That
Hair is important.
hair is important. It is, but that's the first thing I noticed was the hair. I know, I'm not lying to you. I noticed the hair, and then of course I was drawn to, the fire in the back. That's fire, right? Or is it just
Yes, yes,
okay?
no
That is fire.
fire.
I thought it was
Yes,
fire, and
yes.
then the coat, the color.
The coat. I know. I was so drawn to the hunch of her back too. Like there's a
Yes.
little bit of a hunch in her back that I thought
Hmm.
just I felt this longing to comfort her.
Yeah, I have like stared at this cover so many times. When I first got this arc, I was just like, wow, this is a gorgeous cover. Yeah. And even the way her hands are placed, how they're
Mm-hmm.
turned back, like kid, like a kid.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yeah.
totally love the cover. So you guys nailed that. Um, so what themes do you hope that readers see in this story that are reflected like in today's world? Because I mean, you you do a lot of conversations or a lot of work that's rooted in history.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you hope readers see reflected in today's world as it relates to this story?
The important thing to me really is that readers walk away just remembering that we stand on the shoulders of ambitious, strong women, women who could make a way out of no way, you know?
Hmm.
And I always look at the characters in my story and our ancestors, and I think, if they could do that, of course I can do this.
Hmm.
Like there's nothing stopping me because I have way more resources. I have,
Yes.
a larger community. Like there's so many things that they did and they rubbed two sticks together and made a whole
Hmm.
meal. They made something happen. And so, when people read this story, I want them to remember and reflect that we were always there. We were
Yes.
always a part of this narrative. We were World War II. We were there
Hmm.
for the occupation. We were there, even though we've been written out of these narratives. We were always there. And I think it's really important for us, especially now, to really focus on our history and understand it and learn narratives of people who may not be Rosa Parks or Martin Luther King, but there's so
Yeah.
many unsung heroes that we could learn about. And so I really hope that this book is a reflection of that for my readers.
I mean, you're doing amazing work by bringing these people forward, right? Because they lived a full life and they, contributed to the world we live in today. And
Hmm.
you said this, I think when you said this at DC Library, like we've always been there.
We're
It was
always.
just so profound when you said it. It's just kind of like
Hmm.
there's not a situation or something that happened in the history of US or anywhere in the world where we have not been there.
Yes, we have always been there. And that's important for us to remember. We have always been there.
Yeah. So I can imagine writing a book like this, will affect you personally. So how did were there moments where you really had to, how did you take care of yourself while writing this book?
Hmm. I mean, I think there's so much going on with the children.
Mhm.
And it also, I have three, my kids are not children anymore. I have to find a new way to define them. I
They're
don't
always
know.
our
What is,
babies.
oh, yeah,
I say
yes,
young adults, I'll say my kids. They're like, well, how old are your kids? I'm like, 29,
yes,
32. They're not
right. They're not, I don't know. I have to find a new
young
way of
adults.
young adults. Yeah. I think a lot about them and my relationship with them and how hard it must have been for, the women to give up their children and also the women to receive the children. So
Mhm.
I thought about that a lot. But the way I take care of myself is, my writing time is very sacred. I spend like whatever I say I'm going to do. If I say today I'm going to write from 8 to 2, then that's what I need to do. And then at 2 o'clock, I'll go for a walk or I'll go for a run or just something to sort of release the story from my body so that I can go and, have a regular afternoon and evening without being so, caught up in the story. Sometimes it's harder than others because sometimes when I step away from it, it's still like ping, 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 ping.
Yes. I would definitely think that in writing Yellow Wife. I would think
Yeah.
that it took me a while to like kind of come down from reading that book. But I mean, I went into it head first. I absolutely love that book. I mean, I love all your books, but
Yeah.
yes. So,
It's so funny. I was texting with my editor yesterday and because I just got off this 3-week book tour and I can't tell you how many readers have come to me and said, Yellow Wife changed my life or Yellow Wife restored my love for reading or Yellow Wife is my favorite book.
mm,
I recommend it to everyone. I said, what did we put in that book?
you know what? We talked for Yellow Wife. We've talked
We
for every
did.
one of your books, every single one. I'm
Yes.
so grateful to you for having a talk because I sometimes I go back and watch those just to see like what we talked about. But I think for me, Yellow Wife was one of those books where people say, "Oh, I don't want to read another slave book. I don't want to,"
Mm,
and it was just so beautifully written. Although there were scenes and there were things that were difficult, these things happen.
yeah.
And so, it's the way they were delivered to us on the page for me
Hmm.
and learning about someone that is like literally right up the street for me. And
Yeah.
so I think because yet again, it's like somebody that lived a full life and played a part in history and we don't know anything about
Yeah.
the person. And
Yeah.
then the House of Eve. Oh, I just want another. You said this in DC that there's not going to be another. There's
Oh,
no more because I feel like I need that hospital scene at the end. I'm like, okay,
oh.
are we done?
What?
Can you
Mm,
please tell me what's happening to? Oh,
mm,
if you haven't
mm.
read The House of Eve, read The House of Eve.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I will say this. While I'm not writing sequels, you do know that there are carryovers, right? So there's a little Easter egg from Yellow Wife that carries over into House of Eve.
yes,
From the House of Eve, did you catch it? There's an egg and 2 slices of bacon going from the
and
House of Eve into Keeper of Lost Children. So I did a full carryover into that book.
so I had missed it, and somebody was talking about it, and then I had to go back. We're not
Hmm.
going to tell you guys, but
Yeah, we won't.
yes. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. That's my
Definitely.
way of not writing sequels but still keeping you fed.
Yes, we appreciate that. So you have built such a powerful body of work. Like you said, people are
Hmm.
going back and reading your earlier work. So what's next? Is it you're staying with historical fiction or are you going to do the young adult series? Like tell us what's coming
Hmm.
next.
I definitely feel like right now my next idea is feeling very historical. I don't really have a lot to share because I've been so busy working
Mm-hmm.
on the promotion of Keeper of Lost Children. I mean, this tour, this everything has just taken everything out of me. And for me, it's a little bit difficult to be like Sadiqa business hat promoting and Sadiqa writer. Like to write,
Yes.
I need it to be a little bit more quiet. I need a little bit more distraction free zone. And so I really haven't had that. So I have like this little inkling of an idea that's sort of nibbling in my belly. It starts in my belly. So it's sort of there, and I have a place, which for
Mm-hmm.
me is very different because I normally get the woman first. You know, I usually get that character that I'm like, so like, oh, I need to write about her. This is the first time where it's been like the place came, and now I'm looking for the women to sort of center the story around.
I love that. So, whose voice did you hear first, Ozzy, Ethel, or Sophia?
Ethel's first.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely Ethel's. And then Ozzy, and then Sophia. Yeah.
Mhm. And the hardest character to write?
With Ethel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I like to I like to make sure that I'm doing the real person justice, but
Mm-hmm.
that I still have to frame it in the context of historical fiction, right? I have to still put a little bit of imagination in it
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of me sort of hoping and waiting for her to speak to me, for Mabel Grammer to sort of plant stuff in my head so that I'm making Ethel stand up on the page the way she would want. And so that I thought was a little bit more difficult to sort of draw her story out and make it robust and full and as true to the real Mabel Grammer as possible.
Oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever. I know you got a hard stop, but I um, can you tell us what you are reading? If any,
Well,
I know you've been on
yeah,
tour. So.
I have been, but I read the most while I'm traveling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just finished reading. Okay, so I'll tell you the order. I read The Correspondent, and yes, I loved it. And then I read Family Spirit by Diane McKinney Whetstone. She's the
Okay.
author of Tumbling. So I don't know if you
Yes.
remember her. Yes, I did not
Yes.
know she had a book that came out in August, which I love all of her books, and I did not know. So
Okay.
her latest book is called Family Spirit. So I read that. I learned so much from her. She's one of those authors that I feel like I'm reading for entertainment, but I'm learning about craft at the same time, which is
Oh,
double duty and always appreciate it. And I just started Kin. I just started
I
Kin.
just finished. I finished the audio. I had read it, but
Okay.
yeah, I just,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Okay.
I
Don't
need
tell
some,
me too
yeah, I'm
much.
not going to
Don't
tell
tell
you
me too
anything,
much.
but it's just like, you guys in these historical fiction and these, oh, it's just like, so I got to switch to something else just to take a break,
Yeah, I
just a
don't know
small
what I'm
break.
gonna read. Once I finish Ken, I don't know what I'm gonna read. I feel like there's so many good books out right now. Like
Yeah.
every time I open up my Instagram feed, it's like, oh, I want to read that. Oh, I want to read that. Oh, I want to read that. And then
Yes.
I'm checking what you're talking about. I'm checking what Morgan is saying to
Yes.
read. You know, I'm doing all the things. So yes, my to read list is pretty robust.
I will say the Seven Daughters of Dupree is really good.
That is one of the books that's been on my list. Yeah, and
Hmm.
we have the same publisher. So,
Okay. Yes.
yeah. So
So
I
that
always
is a
try to
good one.
yeah, yeah.
So it is always, always, always a pleasure to have you on. I just can't wait for
Mm,
what's next. Um, and I love seeing the response that you're getting when you're going to on tour.
I
Like you're
know.
opening in Richmond.
Yes,
It was
it
amazing.
was so unexpected though. Like, they were like, okay, well, the last time we had about 100 and something people, so we're thinking maybe 200. And we had nearly 500 people show up for my Richmond event, which was like beyond anything I had expected.
Yeah, it was amazing. And so
Yeah.
were your books already signed or you signed all those books that night?
No. So what I've been doing on this tour is that I'll go in early. I'll pre-sign the book so that if you come and you're ready to go, you have your signed copy. But then if you want to get online and then have it personalized, take pictures, chit chat, give me some love, then
Mm-hmm.
we could do that too. So I've been pre-signing the books ahead of the event just so that you have that option.
Yeah,
And
500 is
yeah,
amazing.
500 was a lot. Yeah, my hand, after I went on Saturday to actually sign those books, and I had never had hand cramps before. Look, I was like, how does Kennedy Ryan do it? I need to
Yeah,
reach out to Kennedy and ask her, like, what is the secret? Do you close
yeah,
your hands afterwards? You know?
something.
Yeah, but it was
Oh,
great. It's
wow.
been amazing. I'm so grateful. I'm so, so, so grateful. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful. I feel so blessed and so honored to be in a position where people want to read my books, to be in a position where people want to spend a Monday night with me or any night of the week, you
Mm-hmm.
know? In traffic, you know, in Houston, when I was in Houston, they were like, do you know how much traffic it was to get here? And I'm like, thank you for coming. So
Yeah,
I
you're
just am
stuck with us. I
grateful.
mean, the work is incredible. The stories are incredible. It's just, oh goodness. And the I can't think of their names right now, but the audio, the narrators for your books,
Hey, Slade.
oh, they hands down. It's like when you put a book out, I know I'm definitely 100% listen to the audio
Yeah.
for sure, without
Well,
question.
I do have something to do with the audio. I will tell you that when I was writing Keeper of Lost Children, I was already casting my narrators in my head. I was like, if I cannot get Adam Lazar White as Ozzy, we're just gonna have to postpone the book. I just gotta wait for him because I just knew I could hear his voice in my head. I just knew he was supposed to be Ozzy.
And I met him for the first time on Monday night, and I
Ooh.
literally was like, "Oh my gosh!" Because
Does
he
he
does
sound
all.
like that in person? Does he sound the
No, he
same?
doesn't. But when he was on stage talking about something, he switched into the voice, and but it was
Um,
like the voice, that voice, and then also for S.A. Cosby's books.
Yes. Well, that's how I found him.
Oh,
It's through S.A. Cosby books. And I listened to all of S.A.'s books. And so I was like, oh, this is Ozzy.
100%. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
awesome. That is so awesome. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You guys, if you haven't read it, Keeper of Lost Children by Sadeqa Johnson. I saw somebody in the chat say they hadn't read it. So
Oh, okay. Well, we didn't spoil it for you. So
nope,
go
we
get
didn't
your
spoil it.
copy.
Get your
Yes.
copy. So thank you so much. I can't
Thank
wait to chat to you
you.
again.
Yes. Good to see you. Thanks
You
for
too.
having me. All right. Bye
Sure.
bye.
Bye.